When I was cutting for my first bodybuilding show, I learned more about fat loss in 12 weeks than I had in about 5 years of my entire training career. And I'll be honest, at times I was tired, I was mentally drained, and sometimes getting up in the morning to go and do my morning cardio was just the hardest thing in the entire world. But through that process, I learned 6 key areas that made fat loss work naturally. Now, this is my first educational YouTube video, so go easy on me. But in this video, I'll be breaking down each one of these 6 principles and sharing exactly what worked for me, what didn't, and how you can apply these principles to your life to help you lose fat naturally. Now, whether you're cutting for a bodybuilding show or you're on prep as well, or you just want to lose weight and feel natural and feel confident in your own body, then this video is the one for you. And if you stick around to the end of the video, principle number 6, that was the one that helped me the most. Until I realized this 6th principle, things were tough, things were hard, cutting wasn't easy, but this 6th principle was an absolute game changer, so please stick around for that. And without further ado, let's get into the freaking video. Alright, principle number 1, nutrition. Now, in the area of fat loss and cutting and losing weight, nutrition is the game that will make or break you. I promise you that. Now, at the start of my cutting phase or my fat loss phase, I thought you could just do heaps of cardio, cut the carbs, do more workouts, eat less, and the fat was going to come off. Yeah, there's some aspect that the fat will come off, but you as a person, mentally, physically, are going to feel like absolute shit. You have to do things properly if you want to be losing fat and feeling at the top of your game. Remember, you've still got life, you've still got responsibilities, you've still got things you need to conquer day to day, and if you're just trying to tell your body you've just got to get rid of the fat, then it's going to take everything in the body to try and just flush all the fat out of you, and all your energy is just going to be drained, and you're just going to be, nothing's going to be left to help you do day-to-day tasks, and that's not what we want. We still want to do our responsibilities, we've still got a life to live, and we're not going to throw everything out the window just to have six-pack abs. We don't want that. A few things that made things easier for me is, if you want to keep muscle and maintain as much muscle through this cutting phase, stick to a protein ratio of about 1.5 grams to about 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That's what I do. So for example, I am 74 kilograms. I do 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That's about 140 grams of protein a day that I have for my protein needs that I hit. For me personally, I go a little bit above and beyond for that, just because I like to have a little bit more protein in me, help the process of protein synthesis. Can't say that word, and help push that along the way. When it comes to carb timing, you want to be having a majority of your carbs before and after your workouts. Anything between that, it's alright, but you got to stay in a calorie deficit if you really want to lose weight. I know you've probably heard it before. A calorie deficit pretty much just means eating less than your body's maintenance level. So maintain maintenance level is your maintenance calories. If you eat a little bit less than that, you're going to lose weight. A little bit more than that, you're going to gain weight. For me, it's around 2.5 on the high end of the 2,000 calories. So I'd say 2.7, 3,000 calories is my maintenance level. If I want to eat more than that, if I want to gain weight, I'm going to eat more than that. If I want to lose weight, I'm going to eat less than that. Okay, all right. That's pretty much nutrition covered. I'll just add another thing in there for you as well. You can lose weight eating whatever you like. I could lose weight eating donuts. You can lose weight eating donuts or McDonald's. It doesn't matter. As long as you're in a calorie deficit, you are going to lose weight. But you can lose. It's not what. How do I explain this? How much you eat is going to determine your body weight. So how much you eat is going to determine if you lose weight, but what you eat is going to determine how you feel. The nutritional value that's in your food, what you're going to eat is overall going to impact how you're going to feel day to day. So make sure you're eating nutritious whole foods, you're getting those nutrients, you're getting those minerals, you're getting those macronutrients, and they're honestly going to fuel your day and make you and make losing weight feeling a ton times more easier. Okay, I promise you. And another baseline rule to stick to: eat a ton of protein. Protein's going to keep you fuller for longer, and honestly make cutting so much easier as well. So that's nutrition covered. On to principle number 2. Okay, principle number 2 and area number 2 is strength training. Now, this thing, for me personally and from my experience, I think it's extremely important when it comes to cutting fat and losing the weight, and honestly it's going to make that process a whole lot more easier, pretty much. Now, when I first started, I thought you could just do cardio, and I think everyone does. You can either do running, do a bunch of stairmaster, do tons of walking on the treadmill, do the elliptical bike. That's what I was doing. And the fat is just going to melt right off. To some aspect, yes, it will help with fat loss, but long story short, like, exercise accounts to about 5% of the amount of calories you burn in a day. So don't think of it like that. Cardio is in the way. Strength training, if you want to maintain muscle, strength training is going to be a very, very big factor to that. The way I think about this is, you imagine you're laying bricks on the wall. So you put one brick down, you put one brick up. Strength training is 1 brick. Eating protein is 1 brick. And then when you're in the calorie deficit, your body is constantly trying to pull nutrients and pull as much energy from everywhere in your body to keep it self-sustained, you know? So you pull 1 brick, you take another brick. So you're constantly at a level to, when you're trying to maintain muscle, you've got 1 brick, you take 1 brick. 1 brick, take another brick. So you're like staying at that level. When you're cutting, like, it's going to be quite hard to put on an excess amount of muscle. That's why you hear people say you got to bulk to put on muscle, because when you're in a bulk, you have excess amount of nutrients and you're in a surplus. Therefore, putting on muscle and weight is heavily pushed. And when you're in a cut, your body's trying to pull energy from every source it can. So I'm like, oh my god, the protein, like, if you don't have enough carbs, if you're not getting enough food in, then it's going to pull your protein to use as energy. So the protein isn't going to go into your muscles, it's not going to help them grow. It's going to be harder to put on muscle. Boom, shaboom, shaboom. Easy. Now, strength training, you want to aim for about 3 or 4 times a week. You don't want to stress your body out too much. Remember, it's already in a stressed environment because you're in a cutting phase, and it's still trying to pull nutrients from your everywhere it can to sufficiently sustain itself. So make sure you do a lot of strength training. Make sure you do it till failure, because that's how you train. You train till failure. And it's also going to help your metabolism as well. The higher your metabolism, the more you can eat. And we all want to eat more on a cut, okay? We don't want to eat less. There's times we get hungry, but hey, if you can eat more food, you can eat more food. And the more muscle you have and the more stronger you are, the more you could eat. Here we go. And the principle number 2, out the window. Now, principle number 3, we have daily movement. Now, most people really overlook daily movement, or in another term, NEAT. This stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Those are big words. I'm not going to go into much depth about that, but it's pretty much, as I talked in that section before, the calories your body's burned, you're just doing day-to-day functions. You know, that's organ function, breathing, digesting foods, just walking, day-to-day things that you're doing, you know, whether you're tapping your foot on the ground, moving your hands, or just going on a daily walk, you know, you're going to end up burning calories doing those things, you know. And, you know, there's a reason bodybuilders do a lot of cardio and prep, and there was a reason I was doing a lot of cardio and prep, because you help push that NEAT, is what we call it, N-E-A-T. We help push that NEAT level a little bit higher, so it's going to make fat loss a little bit higher. Now, a key thing to note is you can't really derive all your calories from doing activity. It's better to derive your calorie deficit from, you know, actually being the deficit, and being the deficit instead of trying to create that deficit through or doing a ton load of cardio. And another way to explain this is you could go on the treadmill, go on a run for about an hour or 2 hours, and it might say you burned about 1,600 calories, 1,600 calories, and it's going to create a massive deficit for you. And then you're like, oh my god, I can eat 1,600 calories. No, that's not how you should approach things, because on paper it says you're in that deficit, but in reality, you know, that's just a whole bunch of stress in your body. And when you're doing an activity like that, your body's still going to need energy and nutrients, and it's going to pull from other food sources in your body, like protein, if you're trying to maintain muscle. If you do a whole bunch of cardio, it's going to make it harder to maintain your muscle. It's going to lower your metabolism. And who wants to do a bunch of freaking cardio? Cardio is good, but to a certain extent. You don't want to be walking like an hour, doing a whole bunch of hours and hours of cardio. And we also don't have time to do that. We've got other lively responsibilities that we've got to do. So another thing, the key takeaway is make sure you've got a daily movement. A lot of people, if you know, just sit around the whole day or desk jobs, but if you can get some daily movement in there, please go for a walk in the morning, maybe a walk in the night or a walk in the evening, but 2 walks a day, 1 walk a day, and then a physical workout as well. That'll really make things awesome. Let's highlight there, don't create the deficit through movement. Make sure you're creating a really big deficit just being actually in the deficit and eating less. Now, on to principle number 4. As I said before, principle number 4, we have sleep and recovery. Now, I cannot overemphasize how freaking important it is, how important rest is, and how important recovery is when it comes to losing fat. I promise you, this is another factor and another principle that will also make or break you. Now, think of it like this: your body is already in a stressed environment when you're training, when you're in a deficit, and when you're doing, you know, day-to-day tasks. You know, you've got jobs, family, kids, things that also stress you out. Now, your body's just constantly doing stress. You know, your body needs to recover. It needs to repair itself in some way. And you do that when you're sleeping. Everyone knows that you got to get a good amount of sleep to feel good. But I'm being so serious. If I had a shit sleep when I was cutting, I'm cooked. Like, that honestly fucked me up so much. I'm being so serious. And you really want to aim to, I'm pushing, you really want to aim to 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night plus. Anything like 5 to 6, especially when you're trying to lose fat and cut, it's not ideal. You're going to wake up feeling horrible because you're already in a level where your body's getting a less amount of nutrients, or not a sufficient amount of nutrients as it needs. So think about this. Normally, if you're getting bad sleep normally, and you're eating normally or even more than you usually should, and now you're trying to lose fat and lose weight and you're eating less than you usually would, then if you're getting shit sleep, then it's only going to make that process a whole lot harder, and you're not getting the nutrients for a proper recovery in some way. And also, when you sleep, you burn a ton of calories digesting food, repairing your body, and I promise you're probably going to wake up in the morning and most of the changes happen overnight. This is with everything. You don't go to the gym, you don't lift weights, and you can get a pump, but you're not going to see a muscle grow in the gym. You're going to see it the next morning when you go to bed and you rest. So recovery is another thing that is extremely important. Make sure you rest in this cutting phase and you take care of your body and you get a good amount of sleep. I can't emphasize it as much as I am now. Make sure you rest, make sure you get a ton of sleep. Now, onto principle number 5, we have consistency. Now, you've probably heard this before, but what you do 80% of the time is what you're going to get 80% of the time. Now, what this means is, you can't stick to your diet all week and then just binge it out on one day, because, even though you ate good, 90% of the week, you could ruin it all in 1 week. But, if you're in a cutting phase and you're sticking to your diet pretty well, and then you have one day a week where you just blow it occasionally, and I know this contradicts what I just said before, but I'll come back into that. If you have one day where you just blow it out, it's not the end of the world. You still maintain that deficit prior to that one day, binge day, so it's fine. But what I'm saying is, if you consistently have those binge days every single week, you're creating that consistency with that binge, so it's also going to up your weekly calories. Day-to-day calories aren't honestly like the bigger thing. It's more weekly calories, but the only really time you need to binge is if you're doing a refeed, and that just means if you've hit a weight loss plateau and your metabolism has adjusted. So you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent with your diet, your food, your training, your cardio, and I promise you the results will show off. You can't just do it for a month, and then you can't just be in a deficit and be in this fat loss phase for 1 month and then expect to have the results of someone who's done it for like 6 months. No, it's a marathon. I hate to tell you, but it's a marathon. It's something you have to consistently stick at if you really want the results you're willing to achieve. You have to keep doing it, keep being consistent with your calories, with your sleep, with your diet, with your training. And there were times in prep where my family was eating good food, my friends were eating good food, or we're going out drinking, and I said no, because I wanted to achieve the look that I would take to go on a stage, and I achieved that, and I was so happy. But it was only achievable because I stayed consistent with my diet and I never broke that. 1 day a week is fine to just break over it, but if you consistently break that 1 day a week, every single week, you're ruining the fat loss. You're not going to lose fat, okay? End of point. Anyway, that's my section on consistency. Now we're coming to the final section, the section that helped me the most in this fat loss phase, and that was honestly the biggest game changer, and that actually made fat loss 10 times freaking easier. Let's get into it. So what you've all been waiting for, principle number 6, is mindset. Now, mindset plays the biggest factor in my opinion, and when I first went into this fat loss phase, I was like, oh my god, all I have to do to look good is just be hungry. It's easy. Things are going to be easy. I don't know how these pro bodybuilders struggle on these diets. All they're going to do is just go through it being hungry. That's easy. No. Shit, it's not easy. It's not hard, but it's not easy. And the mindset is what is going to make and break you. There were times, if you're in a fat loss phase, you're eating less food than you're usually used to. So obviously there's going to be times where you're going to get cravings. Things are going to be harder. And it's easy to tell yourself now, when you're not in that fat loss phase, that, oh my god, I just don't need to eat. I just don't need to give in to my cravings. I just don't need to eat the food at night. I don't need to have that donut. I don't need to have the cracker. I'm fine. I can go without that. It's easy to tell yourself that now, because now I'm not in prep anymore and I'm not in a dieting phase, and I see a cheeseburger, I see some sugary donut, and I'm like, I actually don't want that now. But when I was in prep and when I had a less sufficient amount of calories, I would see shitty food and I'd be like, oh man, give it to me. I just wanted it. The cravings build up so incredibly much, and whatever you don't have, you're just going to crave and you're just going to want. And the mindset will honestly make or break you. And the way I thought about it is, you got to go into thinking about it. Okay, I'm going to get hungry. I'm going to be hungry. That is losing weight. That is losing fat. At certain points, you're going to be hungry and you're going to want food. And you just got to be disciplined and not give in to those cravings. There's times where you're going to be tired, and you would understand that is just part of the process. And you can make it easier, but for anyone living a regular life, Like for me, I went to a pretty extreme extent because I was doing bodybuilding and I needed to get like really, really lean. But if you're just trying to lose weight and lose fat, you should be good. You know, you should be fine. You shouldn't be as tired as I was, but I was pretty tired. But that's because I was eating like pretty extreme. You should never do what I was doing. I was like 1,600 calories, 150 grams of carbs a day. I was fucked. Oh my God, you have no idea. And you need to go into this fat loss phase with a mindset that, okay, things aren't always going to be easy. You know, I'm going to have cravings. I'm going to be maybe tired sometimes, but if I do things right and I listen to Coach Ahi, and if I listen to Ahi fella, then I won't be tired and I won't be hungry, and I'll actually feel good on this fat loss phase. And number two is, you know, I'm going to have to say no to certain things. I'm going to have to say no to friends, foods, times. If I really want to achieve my goal, if I really want to get that look that I'm chasing, that I'm chasing and that I'm craving, and if I really want to achieve my desired physical goal, then I have to be consistent, and I have to have a strong mindset when it comes to losing fat and losing weight. That's how it is. And when I understood that, it was the biggest game changer. I saw the goal in front of me and I just chased it. Well, I had distractions, I had food, I had cookies, I had this Biscoff jar in my pantry, and I was looking at it and I'm like, no, we're going to be stage lean. We're going to be freaking good. So that's the last principle on the list there. So honestly, please have a strong mindset, and this will be a ton times. This process of losing fat will be so much easier for you, and I promise you. So just a quick recap, these are the 6 key principles that made fat loss extremely easy for me and that helped me cut and prep for my first bodybuilding show. First thing you have is nutrition. You've got strength training, daily movement, sleep and recovery, consistency, and mindset. Now, if you want to go back over this video and rewatched what I said, please feel free to do that. It's my first like educational type video, so it's not going to be perfect, but the information I gave you is real, and it literally helped me lose over 15 pounds of weight in 10 weeks for my first bodybuilding show, and it works. I promise you, it's worked for thousands and thousands and thousands of other people in the world, and I promise you, if you listen to me and if you do what I told you in this video, then I promise you it will work for you. If this video was helpful to you, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. The only way I can continue to help people like you achieve your physical desired goals is if you're going to push the algorithm and if you're going to push this content out there in the world. So please like, subscribe, share this with a friend who is trying to lose weight or anyone that could benefit from this video. And if you feel like you're someone who wants to work with me personally, I do offer one-on-one coaching, and please click the link in the description and you can book a call with me. And in the call, I'm not going to say you anything, but we can go over what we're going to plan, what we're going to do, and actionable tips and some actionable steps to help you achieve your desired fitness goal. Now, that's it from me, and I hope you guys have a good day. Take care. This is my second YouTube video. She's not perfect, but she's got to get up there. I've got to do the reps. So, see you guys later. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care. Do something hard, do something challenging, and take care. That's it from me. I'll see y'all later.